London, we chaired our opening rally, and we have a lineup of amazing speakers of kick-starting a festival today of socialist ideas and ideas to change the world. But I think leading the fight and the struggle to change the world are the student strikers, and I would love to introduce our first speaker, Cyrus, who is a part of the UK Student Strike Network.
When I first found out that we were now facing a climate crisis, it was in October 2018. I was 15 then, I was in year 11, and I just finished year 11 actually last month. I did my GCSEs in school. If you know people my age, I'm 16 now, and you know like what kinds of things makes the rounds on like Snapchat and sometimes Instagram. You'd know that if like a big event happens or anything like that, and a sensationalist tabloid headline comes out about it, someone clever will screenshot it, share it, others will reshare that, and then everyone kind of overreacts. So, in October 2018, I was basically told that we were about to die and that the world was about to end in 12 years. And it was like, the last time there was that much chaos around something was back in like 2016 when the Brexit referendum results came out and people were having panic attacks about rumours of Nando's shutting down or something like that. Now the world isn't really going to end in 12 years. Actually, it's just that we had 12 years left to bring our carbon emissions down to zero as a rich and developed country. While I have no idea how that translated into we're about to die, it still didn't add up to me. Of course, with Brexit, we weren't even able to vote, and many of us accepted the fact that we were now facing a very uncertain future. With this issue, however, we were taught as children to recycle paper to save trees, and to turn the lights off to save energy. So why is it that suddenly now we're coming to a realization about exactly how much more of an issue this is? And why aren't politicians saying anything? And why aren't they doing anything? Why is it that we, as children, were told about climate change, told about how it's got the capability to destroy us in the world as we know, how it's an existential threat, but we're still burning fossil fuels and acting as if nothing's wrong with that at all. It doesn't make sense, there's no logic, it's wrong. And if we need to stop the emissions, then we need to stop the emissions if they've got to stop. But of course, no one cared about the future we had to face. So we went on strike. And after May at first, we did not exactly turn out like we got when we first started planning for it. I thought maybe 100 people would turn up, because they need 500. 15,000 showed up. And a month after, 50,000 showed up. No matter how many riot bands wanted to pull up on the first strike day, no matter how they tried to scare people with arrests, the police couldn't even stop a bunch of kids from climbing on top of buses, taking over Parliament Square and its surrounding streets, and singing, "Oh, renewable energy," as they did so. It felt empowering. And up to now, we've managed to get Parliament to declare a climate emergency, and the government to commit to reaching a net zero carbon economy by 2050. But what the government has still failed to understand is that we need to cut our carbon emissions down to zero in 5 to 11 years, so that people in poorer countries can have a chance to heighten their standards of living by building some of the infrastructure that we've already built, like clean drinking water or electricity. 2050 is in 31 years compared to that. And for some reason, we don't ever think past 2050 when we think of our future. We never think about 2060, 2070, 2090, 100. I'll be alive until 2103. But this sixth mass extinction that we're in the midst of is speeding up, and it's speeding up fast. So I want everyone here to think to themselves, what does the future look like? Is it bright or is it bleak? Does it look like a safe and stable future for you, for your children, for your grandchildren, for your friends and family? What does it look like realistically, taking into account what kind of future is being built now, and with today's ignition speed? What would you be willing to do to secure a better future? We've been striking every month since February. We've had an incredible amount of influence, unexpectedly, and even got loads of mentions at G20. We've completely changed public opinion and brought the climate crisis to one of the public's top concerns, next to immigration and Brexit. We've changed the course of UK politics, and 19th July will be our last zoo strike, at least for now. I want you to go back to that question of what you'd be willing to do to secure a better future for yourselves. In August, we won't be striking, but instead we're going to be preparing and building for something this country has not seen since 1926. From the 20th of September, we're calling for a general strike. Hundreds of other countries around the world will join us. Thank you.
A part of the question around climate change is also the impact of climate refugees. And I think in the UK, we have seen the massive and disgusted hostile environment created by our government, and I'm incredibly proud to introduce Melanie Strickland, a member of Stansted 15, who was charged with terror offences, which I thought was kind of only reserved for Muslims, but hey, for stopping a deportation flight.
Welcome. A bit about me. I've also been a climate activist for many, many years. In 2015, I did an action at Heathrow Airport, and after I finished my community service from that action, I started volunteering at my local migrant centre in North East London, and it was there that I saw with my own eyes the depth of human misery and suffering in my own community. The people that were coming to the centre were mainly women of colour with little children, and these were people who lived a street away from me in many cases. So there were people that I may have walked past in the street. So seeing all that suffering and poverty and illness in my community, when I was approached by some of my friends, some of whom were also involved in the Heathrow action, about a proposal to stop the deportation flight, I thought, yeah, that's something that's really worthwhile. When you think about the private companies that are involved in the detention and deportation process, it's clear that this is an issue of racist capitalist oppression. The global oppressed are those who stand to lose most as well from the ecological crisis that we face. And when you look at deportations in this country, people are largely being sent to former Commonwealth countries. So it's clear to me that this is a new form of colonial oppression. So after a number of conversations with my comrades from Plain Stupid, Lesbians and Gays Support the Migrants, and End Deportations, we came up with a plan, and we implemented our plan on 28th of March 2017. And we successfully stopped the deportation flight to Nigeria and Ghana. thing I've ever done in my life. I've got absolutely no regrets about it. As a direct result of the action, I know from a freedom of information request that I just got back the other day that 11 people remain in this country, and four of them have status. So that includes trafficking survivors, people who have successfully won their asylum claims, and parents of dependent children. So, you know, that's truly the best thing I could have done in my life, and it's not just the people who you know, were going to be forcibly deported that night, but it's their families and the people in their communities, their loved ones. You know, so many people have, you know, have the opportunity to like rebuild their lives here as a result of that, action. So the whole action, the whole process has taught me a lot. I mean, it's still ongoing for us because we got convicted of a terrorism-related offence at the end of last year, ironically on International Human Rights Day. And although we didn't get prison sentences, which I think that is, you know, fully down to the strength of support and solidarity that we had, it still had a massive impact on our lives, and we don't have an appeal day, and you know, the whole legal process is likely to go on and on. But I do feel that it's taught me that, you know, solidarity first, revolutionary action in parallel with or second to solidarity with our comrades, with people in our community against racist oppression. And I wanted to end with a quote by one of my heroines, Angela Davis, who says that you have to act as if it were possible to radically transform the world, and you have to do it all the time. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Lynn Marie, a UCU member, anti-racist activist who was sacked by his college for opposing the racist prevent agenda.
Thank you. I bring solidarity greetings from Southwold College, UCU. And as was said, I worked there a month ago. I was sacked. I'll tell you what happened to me. I was doing some casework in the college because I'm a branch secretary there. And it was a new member, a black woman, who came to me, and she'd been suffering racist bullying, really awful stuff. And she'd been to management before she came to me, and they pretty much said she was oversensitive and making it up. So this meeting was pretty awful. I really was very frustrated when I left it. I walked past the Prevent poster. Prevent poster I've walked past hundreds of times, never liked it. And the college know how I feel about Prevent, and they know how unions start with Prevent. We think it is racist. But on this day, out of frustration, I took a pen to it. I wrote racist across it. Yeah. Thank you for the applause, but I know it's not the greatest thing to do. I like to think of myself as quite strategic branch officer. That was the best thing to do. But I was then called to an investigation meeting a couple of weeks. Actually, no. About an hour later, after I talked for an hour, I calmed down. I went back and I thought, well, I need to take the poster down. But it had gone. So I was called to an investigation meeting 2 weeks later, confronted with this poster. I immediately owned up to it. I apologised for my methods. Didn't apologise for calling Prevent racist, because it is racist. And I then also wrote a letter to apologise for my methods, but I was called to a disciplinary hearing and I was sacked, summarily dismissed. And I've been a branch officer and a caseworker for 20 years, and I've never known someone to be summarily dismissed. Usually they get their notice, but they were particularly spiteful with me. But this really wasn't about me writing on that poster. It was about victimisation. Because I am branch secretary of a successful branch. We have spent the last 5 years fighting against our employer and winning. And they don't like that. They particularly don't like They particularly don't like a black critical voice who is there to challenge them. So in the last 5 years, what we've achieved is we had incremental payments suspended for 5 years, and we organised, tripled our branch membership, and threatened with strike action, and got our incremental payments put back on, and in the process gained 3 extra weeks of holiday. We then went for their really awful lesson observation scheme, which is all about performance management and all about bullying teachers. So we took strike action, boycotted it, took a year of boycott, and we negotiated a collaborative, supportive lesson observation scheme. And then in the last year, we took 5 days of strike action. And if you remember last year, this strike action was in the Beast of the East. It was pretty awful on that picket line. It was really cold. So we really struck hard to get a 6.5% pay rise over 3 years. That number doesn't sound big. If you think of FE, we haven't had a pay rise above 1% for the last 10 years. And what happened after that is that we broke the logjam. Colleges around the country started getting pay rises bigger than 1%. And we did that at Sandwell. We worked hard to do that, and that's the fantastic branch I work for. But what also this is about, it's not just about victimisation, it's about the prevent duty. And the prevent duty is a terrible, ill-conceived strategy that the government used to victimise and other Muslim community in our schools, colleges and universities. If I give you a couple of examples, there was a Muslim student at Stansted University who was studying international relations. He took out a book on terrorism, international terrorism. He was then reported to Prevent. He was then harassed. He was harassed so much that he gave up his course. There have been school children as young as 3 or 4 who've been questioned without their parents under Prevent. I got a message of support from a parent who has an 11-year-old son who, in the playground, and she used the term, was having some banter with some friends, a Muslim student, and he was questioned under Prevent. And so she really struggled with that. So it's really good that we're opening up that discussion about Prevent again. But it's also about institutionalised racism, the fact that black workers are called to disciplinary more often and given bigger sanctions. So it's good to be able to talk about institutionalised racism, because often if you talk about that in the workplace, that's the point where they start to get rid of you. They've already got rid of me, so I can talk about it. But what was fantastic was a couple of weeks ago, I was having a bit of a low day, and I got phone calls from my branch, not just committee members, but ordinary branch members, telling me, we've done it, we've re-elected you as branch secretary. And we're going to move to ballot for strike action. That ballot is ongoing now, and I think we're going to win it. Management is we're not going to take this victimisation. We're not going to have our victories rolled back. They are prepared to fight, and not just that, they are prepared to win. Solidarity.
Today will show that we have to continue to fight against racism, but we also have to continue to fight against sexism. And I I'd love to introduce our next speaker, Lynn Marie O'Hara, a Unison member who struck with thousands of women in Glasgow for equal pay.
Inviting me here tonight to yet again talk about the Equal Pay campaign and strike in Glasgow last year. For 12 years, the women, and it was mainly women doing the women work, the cleaning, the catering, the education support staff, all the roles that women tend to do to fit around family life and all the things that we do. For 12 years, we were paid unfairly, and everyone in Glasgow City Council knew this. They introduced a pay scheme where they protected the male role jobs, and the women's jobs never got to rise above what was, it was unjust. So for 12 years, the council took us out to tribunal after tribunal. They kept trying to dispute the fact that it was wrong, it was just wrong. And every day, the women and men went to work, did the jobs with a broom, with a smile on their face, but in the background was all the legalities around. Were we getting unfairly paid? Yes, we were. So as a trade union, Unison Glasgow, GMB, and we've also got Action for Equality who are supporting all the claimants in Glasgow, which there were 14,000 people, or 14,000 claims against the council. The council were very, very worried. But what worried them more was that all the talks that they were having were not getting us anywhere. So across the city, all the branches, all the members, we started to get a bit busy around what can we do. So last year we took a consultative ballot in our branch, and the figures for the people who are the lowest paid doing the catering and cleaning jobs, home care and education support, the numbers were resounding, the return votes were resounding. So the council came back and thought, God, they're going to go on strike, they've got us over a barrel. So they came back to us within 24 hours of our consultative ballot announced the returns. And we were going to have more effective talks. Now, I don't know what they've been talking about for all this time, but in our branch, what we decided was, well, they're talking, we're going to get busy. So we started to order up some t-shirts and make placards over summer, and there was just this air of discontent and people thinking we truly believed in solidarity of each other. We quadrupled our membership in the Cordia, that was an arm's length organisation. People started to really start to believe that we could, the members of a trade union, and people who wanted to just come along as well. So, you know, it was like a carnival atmosphere across Glasgow. And the council was sitting going, we had loads of demonstrations outside the city chambers, and each time people saw it in the paper or on Twitter or whatever it was going across, it started to build and grow, and the momentum was there. And do you know what? The belief was there that the lowest paid people were strike ready. And the council, I think, thought, they're not going to do this. So on the morning of Tuesday, 23rd of October, 8,000 women, predominantly women, shut the city down. It was fantastic. It was 1 week after the kids had the October School Week, so the kids were all loving it. They were out the picket lines with us. Their t-shirts, homemade strike t-shirts on, their wee tuk-tuk placards made out of cereal boxes. So there was this atmosphere where we believed in ourselves. We had got together, we came really, really strong, shut down our city. And do you know what? They sat up and took notice in the council. So not to labour the point too much, but the solidarity has paid off, and this was never about greed. It was always delivered with dignity and respect around the members and the claimants. And happy to say that at 5:30 this morning, my best friend, my trade union sister, texted me to say, my money's in the bank. Strike, send for the 8,000 angry Glaswegian women.
Our next speaker, I think I'm so happy to have her, and I think everyone be inspired to a revolutionary, and I think we're seeing it and everyone's watching it, and everyone's seeing the resistance and the reality of what's happening in Sudan. So our next speaker is Venus Abduallah, a Sudanese revolutionary.
Thank you, guys. I'm happy that I came prepared. Just a disclaimer, I hate public speaking, and English is not my first language, and I'm most likely gonna cry. Thank you for having me here and giving me the opportunity to speak about the great Sudanese revolution. I'm really honored. I feel I am amongst friends, and I really thank you for the solidarity. It's great. My name is Venus. I see that I was put on the speakers list as a Sudanese revolutionary. Let me start by saying that the real revolutionaries are the young women and men in Sudan, taking on the streets, knowing that they are... I've already started. Knowing that they might not go back to their homes, opening their chest to bullets, shouting Madaniya, which is civilian government, in faces of their killers. The Sudanese youth that are waving a big middle finger in the face of systems of oppressions. Those are the real Sudanese revolutionaries. I send them love, and I wish I can hug them all. I cannot speak on behalf of the Sudanese revolutionaries, but I can tell you why I think that the Sudanese revolution is extraordinary. First, we have been waiting for this revolution for so long. I'm 30 years old. My parents and most of my extended family are political activists. I grew up listening and taking in songs and ideas about revolution, ideas and hopes for a better, inclusive and united Sudan, where everyone feels part of the nation. Sudanese in Sudan and outside Sudan, in the whole entire world, from different generations, in so many different ways, have been working to bring about change, to bring down the regime that divided, killed, displaced, and oppressed the people of Sudan for 30 years. And it came. The fierce and brave Sudanese youth brought the long-awaited revolution. I think the revolution is great because the great women of Sudan are in the forefront of the revolution, leading in all possible and impossible ways this revolution, from young women leading protests in neighborhoods and main streets and throwing tear gas canisters back to the police, to grandmothers and mothers opening their homes and feeding protesters, to Awadiya Kuku leading the Union of Women Food and Beverage Vendors and building a strong union, to women traveling from different cities to feed and empower the protesters in the sit-in during Ramadan. Brave women of Sudan have always been in forefront of resistance. I salute women in Darfur, in Nuba Mountains and Blue Nile and in South Sudan who have been fighting on so many fronts. I come from these women and I'm so proud to have some of their fire in me. Revolution started on the 13th of December last year in Damazin and spread out like wildfire, fueled by hope, anger, and determination. On the 6th of April, after months of pushing and pulling, a lot of mobilization and organization by the young people of Sudan, the revolution managed to topple al-Bashir, Sudan dictator for 30 years. And the sit-in was created. The sit-in was a glimpse of hope, a window to the Sudan that we dream about. People shared that space. It was a communal space for all Sudanese, where people sang, danced, and thought together. People of all ages and backgrounds shared food, tea, and coffee. There were free clinics, free classes for children who found home in the sit-in. It was a safe space. It wasn't perfect, but there was space for discussions and contemplation. The art that was created in that space was magnificent. It showed how much beauty Sudanese youth can create. For months in the sit-in was my happy place. Although I'm miles away from home, the videos and photos from the sit-in reminded me day and night of how much and why I love Sudan and its people. On the 3rd of June, that dream was brutally destroyed when Janjaweed soldiers violently attacked the sit-in, killed, burned, raped, and threw dead and alive people to the Nile. Over 100 confirmed dead, beautiful and young souls were lost. Over 70 confirmed raped women and men. 3 of the women who were raped that day took their own lives. Over 300 are still missing. Sorry. People are saying that numbers are much higher because there were millions of people, hundreds of thousands of people in that space. But as a friend on Twitter put it, if you believed in the sit-in is now gone. But if you believe in the revolution lives on. The warlord tried to bury Sudanese young people and their dream, but he did not know that they are seeds. Last Sunday, on the 30th of June, they bloomed. 3 weeks after the massacre, with no access to internet, the Great Sudanese Revolutionaries showed the Transitional Military Council and Hemeti how deviant and fierce they are. They mobilized for 1 million-person marches, and millions took the streets on that day. I called my friends back home, and we cried together. I heard people calling freedom peaceful and civilian. I wish I was there. The revolution is completely peaceful. Not one time since December, protesters threw a fist back. They fed, treated, and sang with the soldiers, the same soldiers that they killed them. They are giving the world a lesson in nonviolence resistance. Lastly, I believe this revolution cut across all differences, geographical, ethnic, and religious, which is significant given the history of Sudan. There is a call for a nationwide disobedience on the 14th of July, so please watch out for that. And the revolution lives on. People of Sudan will not settle for less than a complete freedom. We will not settle. We demand peace and justice, and I believe justice will win. I salute Sudanese resistors. I salute the revolutionaries in Hong Kong, Mauritania, Algeria, Palestine, US and Latin America and Europe. I salute all people fighting day and night for a free world. Power to the people. Freedom, peace and justice. The revolution is people's choice. حرية, سلام وعدالة. الثورة خيار الشعب. Thank you.
think like many, we've seen the refugee crisis, and I know that I joined the party and became a member and became active because I saw the refugee crisis and saw what was happening. And I think it's absolutely terrible, and it shows the nature and the world in which we live in, that it continues today, where we see thousands of people die in the Mediterranean Sea, try to come to Europe for a better life. And I really, I'm very proud and excited to introduce our next speaker, Miguel Roldán, who was a Spanish firefighter who's facing 20 years in prison for rescuing refugees in the Mediterranean. So, do you want to come up?
Súbeme esto un poquito. Buenas tardes. Bueno, en primer lugar, me gustaría daros las gracias por la oportunidad de estar hoy aquí.
So, in first instance, I would like to say thanks for being here.
Y disculpad que no pueda hablar por mí mismo y me tengan que traducir, pero por desgracia todavía no sé inglés, pero en poco tiempo espero aprender.
And I would like to apologise for not being able to speak by myself. So not just yet, my skills aren't that good, but I will try and learn in the future.
Voy a contar mi historia personal, lo que yo viví y lo que vi en el Mediterráneo.
I'm going to tell my personal story about what I lived and what I saw in the Mediterranean.
En el año 2017, en junio, me embarqué con una ONG alemana para ayudar a las personas que cruzan desde Libia hasta Italia.
In 2006, I embarked with a German NGO to help rescue people who were making the crossing in Libya.
Personas que cruzan desde Libia hasta Italia en unas embarcaciones de una precariedad absoluta.
People who cross from Libya to Italy in very precarious vessels.
Sin ningún elemento de flotabilidad. Exhausto por un periplo de meses de travesía.
With no floating device and very exhausted from months of travelling.
Y la mayoría sin saber nadar.
The majority without any swimming skills.
Distancias que en el mejor de los casos superan los 250 kilómetros.
Distances which, in the best of cases, are over 250 kilometers.
Situaciones que hacían que, si no estuvieran la ONG allí en el Mediterráneo, estaban abocadas a una muerte segura.
Situations that, if the NGO wasn't there in the Mediterranean, it meant a certain death.
Yo fui como nadador de rescate.
I went as a rescue swimmer.
Pero por desgracia me tuve que convertir en juez.
Oh, but unfortunately I had to become judge.
Cuando 200 personas caen al agua en una embarcación de este tipo, sin saber nadar y exhaustos, como hemos dicho, y sin ningún elemento de flotabilidad.
When 200 people fall in the water, exhausted and with no floating devices or life jackets,
no hay medios materiales ni humanos que puedan socorrerlo a todos.
There's no human material means to be able to save all of them.
Y aquí viene la parte más dura que yo viví en el Mediterráneo.
And here comes the hardest part that I lived in the Mediterranean.
Cuando 200 personas caen al agua, si va al frente, los que tienes detrás mueren. Si va a la derecha, los de la izquierda los pierden. Así que en décimas de segundo tienes que decidir quién vive y quién no.
When you are in the middle of the sea and you have to make a split-second decision, because if you go save the people in the front, the people in the back die. If you go to save the people on the left, the people on the right die, and vice versa. So you have to make this split-second decision.
Todo lo que hicimos en el Mediterráneo era supeditado por el Centro de Coordinación de Roma.
Everything that we did in the Mediterranean had to go through the Maritime Rescue and Coordinating Center in Rome.
En ningún momento nos saltamos las normas. De hecho, tuvimos que dejar morir a gente por culpa de esta burocracia.
We never broke the rules. In fact, sometimes we had to let people die because of this bureaucracy.
Y un año después, en el 2018, me notifican que estoy investigado por cooperación con el tráfico de personas.
And sometime in 2018, I am notified that I have to go to trial because I am involved with human trafficking.
Yo siempre digo que si voy a tener esta acusación, en ningún momento hubiera dejado morir a nadie.
And if I knew I was going to be accused of this, I wouldn't have let anyone die.
A consecuencia de todo esto, estamos 10 compañeros, nos llamamos Juventa 10.
Repeat that, please.
A consecuencia de esta criminalización, somos 10 compañeros.
As a consequence of this criminalization, there's 10 partners of mine.
7 personas alemanas, una chica escocesa, un chico portugués y yo como español.
So that's 7 Germans, 1 Scottish woman, and a Portuguese man. And him.
Yo creo que lo más importante, evidentemente, no somos los europeos, no carecemos de importancia, las 10 personas.
I don't think that just because we're European we are more important.
Creo que lo verdadero importante son las personas que cruzan el Mediterráneo.
I think that the people who are important are the ones who are trying to cross the Mediterranean.
Creo que mientras más nos acusen, mientras más ruido hagan contra nosotros, más repercusión van a tener en el Mediterráneo, que creo que es lo importante.
So the more noise and the more pressure they try and put on us, this is going to mean more repercussion in the Mediterranean.
Salvini y Europa quieren crear una sociedad en la que ojos que no ven, corazón que no siente.
At the moment, Europe or the institutions want to create a situation of hear no evil, see no evil.
Pero tenemos que seguir luchando por darle difusión, por intentar ayudar de la forma que sea. Si hay que desobedecer estas órdenes, pues habrá que desobedecer.
But we need to carry on fighting that, helping as we can, and doing what we can.
Porque la vida se vive solo una vez. Si dejamos morir a estas personas, si la única forma que tienen de supervivencia es que estemos ahí ayudándolas y le damos la espalda.
Because life, we only have one life and we have to live it, and...
¿Puedes decir lo último? Si le damos la espalda.
Oh, if we turn our backs to these people,
le impedimos que tengan la única forma de sobrevivir.
we impede them from having the only way to survive.
Estamos hablando de una migración
We're talking about an immigration
en la que estas personas buscan supervivencia.
where these people are looking for survival
Por culpa de una guerra civil, por culpa de una hambruna creadas por Europa.
because of a civil war, because of a famine, which are created by Europe.
Y no solo no la ayudamos, sino que encima levantamos muros.
Not only do we not help them, on top of it we are bringing up walls.
Cuando empecé pensaba que éramos una minoría, pero me estoy moviendo cada vez más por mi situación.
When I first started doing this, I thought I was in a minority, but more and more,
Pero creo que entre todos podemos cambiar esta situación.
I'm really realizing there's more of us, and between us all, we can change the situation.
Creo que es el momento de reclamarle a Europa de que estas personas necesitan una solución ya, no dentro de un mes, 2 meses o años. Tiene que ser ya.
So we're at a time when we need to tell Europe, the EU, that we need a solution for this situation now, not in 2 months' time, not next year. It needs to happen now.
Cuando hablan de que la migración es el problema de la sociedad,
When they talk about migration being a problem of society,
no tienen ni idea de lo que tienen que pasar estas personas en busca de una oportunidad.
they have no idea of what these people have got to go through for a chance at life.
Tengo un compañero que es fotoperiodista, hizo el seguimiento de 114 personas.
I have a friend who is a photojournalist, and he follows 100 or so people
Que venían desde Libia.
who came from Libya.
3 años después,
3 years later,
de 114, solo 4 personas tienen un contrato de trabajo.
from 114 people, only 4 people have a work contract.
Los demás o están en campos de refugiados, o están en centros de internamiento, o están en su país de origen.
And the rest are either in detention centres, refugee camps,
¿Cuál es el último? Campos de refugiados, centros de internamiento en su país de origen.
or they're back in their country of origin.
Por eso esta es la segunda parte de la migración, la que no se ve. Primero se juegan la vida y luego tienen años de travesía en un desierto que no saben si le va a dar una oportunidad.
And this is the story that is told about migration, is that first they have the dramatic crossing and all the difficulties that come with it, but then afterwards you have years in the wilderness where they don't know what's gonna happen to them.
Por eso desde aquí abogo por hacer una política de brazo abierto, de no darle la espalda y de tenderle la mano.
So this is why I asked to here to have open arm politics and not turn our backs on them.
Yo pienso en que un mundo mejor puede existir, y creo que si entre todos ponemos nuestro granito de arena, pues lo podemos conseguir.
I believe that a better world can exist, and if we all put our grain of sand in it, we will achieve it.
Muchísimas gracias.
Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here.
So, we have a bar rented out for Marxism, which is the Draper's Bar across the road at Bancroft Road, and just down that, is it that way? That way. That way. And it's at student prices, so if you want to get me a drink, a non-alcoholic one, go, please feel free. So, it's when we're having our party tomorrow. There's a comedy night and there's other events taking place tomorrow, and there's a Kyoko gig on Saturday, so yeah, please come along. Our last and final speaker is Michael Bradley, a leading member of the Socialist Workers' Party and an organiser of Stand Up to Racism.
Firstly, Miguel says he apologises that his English isn't good enough to speak. All I can say in Spanish is dos cerveza, so I'd like to apologise for that. It's always good to start with a joke, so we should start with Boris Johnson. The idea that the British ruling class, in its hour of need, the greatest problem that Britain has probably had since 1939, has decided to turn to Boris Johnson is fairly frightening. And when you think that he will be elected probably by 160,000 members of the Tories party, no offence, but the average age 947, is even more worrying. But Johnson himself comes across as a buffoon, but we know he's a lot more than a buffoon. Firstly, he is a rich git. He thinks everybody in this room is scum on his shoes. That's what these people are like. He's a Newtonian from all the worst traditions that represents. But the other part of it, he's a vicious, nasty racist. And we know this. Anybody who talks about Muslim women as letterboxes or bank robbers, or anybody who talks about black people having watermelon smiles and then says that he's being ironic about it, this is going to be the next Prime Minister. And this should make us very, very angry. It should make us really bloody angry. But who's the person really who Johnson is inspired by? Well, apart from the fact that he has some of his speeches apparently written by Steve Bannon, actually what's Johnson doing and what's the racist language about? It's about echoing Trump. That's what it's about. It's about Trumpism for Britain. And actually, let's think about this. I mean, the Polish revolutionary Rosa Luxemburg talked about the idea of socialism or barbarism. And Donald Trump probably personifies barbarism in a suit. This is an individual really who sums up everything that is worse about capitalist society. He's corrupt, he's giving tax to the rich, he's a racist, he's an Islamophobe, and we talk about what's happening to migrants, and Miguel has just talked about. You look at the picture of Oscar Alberto Martinez and his 2-year-old daughter dying, trying to cross the river to get into the United States. You look at the pictures of the detention centres. This is what's going on there is absolutely disgusting. The man is a misogynist, the man is a climate denier, the man is a warmonger who wants to start a war with Iran. Right, stuff. And if it was just about Trump, it would be bad enough. This is the most powerful country on earth, but he's inspiring a whole generation of political figures. And when we talk about Salvini and what he's doing in Italy, he's one of them. But think about the others that he inspires in this country. The other part of the marvellous double act for the Tory leadership is Jeremy Hunt. Jeremy Hunt thinks it's okay when Donald Trump retweets Katie Hopkins, who talks about London being like Londonistan, because we have a Muslim mayor, Sadiq Khan. If you think about Nigel Farage, whether you voted Leave or you voted Remain, Nigel Farage is somebody who ran over to the United States after Trump's election to have his photograph taken in the Golden Lift in Trump Tower. Farage hasn't changed his spots. This is somebody whose personal hero is Enoch Powell, who put forward the Rivers of Blood speech back in 1968, saying that black people were coming into the country would lead to blood in the streets. And you think about someone else that he inspires, it's Tommy Robinson. Now, Tommy Robinson's had a bad day, by the way. It's very sad what's happening to Tommy today, because a few months ago, Tommy thought he was going to be an MEP. Tommy had 15,000 people, if you remember, out on the streets last summer calling for his release from jail. Actually, I mean, now you're underplaying what happened. What happened up in the Northwest was fucking brilliant, right? That man went into that campaign to become out of an MEP. He ended up the evening of the count saying he felt a bit tired and he was going home to spend more time with his wife. Once over it, the bloke was humiliated under that situation. And today, there wasn't 1,000 people or 2,000 people outside the call for Robinson. There were 80 of his followers, many of them drunk. And what's done up to racism and other campaigners did up in the Northwest has to be remembered. Sometimes there's a rewriting of history. Some people said it was better to ignore the likes of Robinson. I tell you ignore Nazis, they end up in office. And I tell you one thing, when Paul Jenkins, the comrade who's not here at the minute, have people seen the video when he went up to Barra, Tommy Robinson, and went to shake hands, and Paul said a simple thing: you're a Nazi, you're a Nazi, you're a Nazi. And on the night when Robinson lost, he said the problem is, everywhere I went, people said to me, you're a Nazi, you're a Nazi, you're a Nazi. So he got the message. See, we're 10 years now into austerity, 10 years into an economic crisis. And what you've got now is a frightening political polarisation going on. We talk about it looking like the 1930s. More and more, it does look like the 1930s. People like Bolsonaro in Brazil, Viktor Orban in Hungary. And when you think about what's happening here, the absolute centre point of their explanation for economic crisis is the reason why there's problems isn't the bankers, it isn't the rich, this isn't the problem. The problem is migrants, the problem is refugees, the problem is Muslims. But it starts with Islamophobia, and what happens afterwards? It starts about people talking about conspiracies involving George Soros on an international conspiracy. Anybody heard this before? Involving Jewish people? Or it ends up with Donald Trump talking about the good people who marched through Charlottesville 2 years ago, shouting Jews will not replace us. What you've got is a massive polarisation and a growth of racist populism and a growth of support for fascist organisations as well, on a scale, like I said, we haven't seen since the 1930s. In this country, we've had the insidious politics of Theresa May. Theresa May's hostile environment has seen people from the Windrush generation and their children persecuted in the most racist, filthy manner by the Home Office in order to cover up the problems and the crisis that the Tories have got themselves. And don't think this is going to get any better under Johnson, or don't think this is going to get any better at all under Hunt. By the way, when Theresa May says that her legacy is how she behaved at Grenfell, it is a fucking disgrace. An absolute disgrace. That woman wouldn't even go down and face that community after the death. It's a disgrace that she said that. But when we talk about the issue of Brexit, which is tearing the Tories apart and the rest of it, people might have voted different ways in the room. Personally, I voted to come out, and I voted to come out because of exactly what Miguel was talking about. Today, if you read the reports, there are 80 more migrants missing. 80 more migrants missing off the coast of Tunisia. What they're turning in is a fortress Europe, which means the Mediterranean is now a bloody graveyard, and we have to think what the EU's done around that. But of course, there is polarisation to the right, but there's also polarisation to the left. I mean, the stories we're hearing today are part of that political polarisation to the left. If you think about in the States, yes, you've got Trump, but you've got resistance that grew up against racism in defence of migrants after Charlottesville. You've got the massive teachers' strikes, which have had an absolute inspiration. In France, you had the Yellow Vest movement, the Gilets Jaunes going out into the streets, opposing capitalism, trying to think of an alternative. And in this country, you've had the movement around Jeremy Corbyn. Now, all of us in this room want to see a Labour government and a Corbyn government. All of us do. But it seems to me there's a problem. Because there's quite a lot of people in the Labour Party in a minute who don't seem to want to see a Corbyn government at all. And Tom Watson is probably the man leading the charge over this. And we have a ridiculous situation developed where one of the most principled anti-racists you could possibly imagine on the face of the earth, a man like Jeremy Corbyn, who was at Wood Green fighting the Nazis in the 1970s, is now apparently an anti-Semite. An anti-Semite alongside other Labour Party comrades because they stood up over the issues of Palestine. And today you get Jeremy Hunt accusing Jeremy Corbyn of anti-Semitism and explaining why he thought that meant the Holocaust could happen here. It's like going through a mirror. It's a disgrace what's going on around it. But we know that although we want to see a Corbyn government, although we would like to see that, at the minute there are massive pressures inside the Labour Party and from the press and from other parts of society against Jeremy Corbyn. If you think these pressures are bad now, by the way, think what would happen if a Labour government was elected. Just look at what happened to Hollande in France, look what happened to the Syriza government. Unless a Labour government will have a mass movement behind it, people on the street, strikes, protests and the rest of it, they will be taken on by big capital. And this is a real massive question. And there's a problem really for us at the minute, and they're politically in this country, because when you look at things, there's a danger that the whole debate around Brexit and the whole internal crisis in the Labour Party leads to paralysis. Right, leads to the idea that there's nothing you can do, that all we do is look at this crisis happening around us. Now, what we've listened to from the platform shows that there's an alternative to that. And the comrades from Glasgow, absolutely amazing strike, absolutely bloody brilliant strike. The problem we've got at the minute is there aren't enough fucking strikes going on. There isn't enough resistance at that level. There aren't enough demonstrations being organised. And of course, that means that we have to be part of the process, supporting every strike, arguing for more action, going to a Tory party conference on the 29th of September to demonstrate against the Tories and the rest of it. But hasn't it been brilliant to see somebody, a group of workers, a group of people rather in this country, who are not simply waiting for an election, or are not simply waiting, and that's why the school students and the student strikes have been absolutely amazing. They've been a complete inspiration. That there's an urgency. You went through the dates around it. The idea that if we've got 12 years before irreversible climate change, we can wait a few years till the next election to do something about it, or the idea that before we take action, we'll have to wait till somebody repeals the anti-trade union laws, frankly, is a bit of a joke. Now, I don't know about anybody else, but my son's been involved in the climate strikes, and I feel a little bit embarrassed personally. I feel a little bit embarrassed that the biggest issue on the planet is being taken up by 12, 13, 14, 15 and 16-year-olds, and the rest of us often sit there and give them a clap and give them their tea when they get in. What we're being asked to do on the 20th of September is a little bit of audience participation. Participation means is going back to your work on Monday morning and starting an argument up about what are we going to do on the 20th. Not are we going to hold a selfie up on the 20th, I'm all for selfies, but are we going to fucking try and walk out the door on the 20th of September? Are we going to try and turn the word general strike into a reality, not just a phrase? I'm sorry, but you can't really have the biggest issue on the planet left to the person that can kick out the door and tell him he's late for school. You can't do it. Now, what the climate strikers have done, and what Extinction Rebellion have done, and what the movement around the world and Greta Thunberg and other people have done, is they're raising a big question, aren't they? Literally, capitalism is not as a left-wing phrase here, it is destroying the planet. The planet we live in, the kind of lives we lead, will not be sustainable. under the basis of Trump and people are left in power. And that raises a big question. It raises the question of revolution. It raises the question that can ordinary people actually control society in a democratic way that puts human need first and not profit? And when the sister speaks from Sudan, it is an absolute inspiration for us, because that is what revolution is about. That is what revolution is about. It's about women and young people leaving on the streets, taking on a dictatorship. It's not the idea of revolution which is, bureaucrats in China or in Russia in the past with gulags and this rubbish. Revolutions are the flowering of human beings. It's the epitome of what human beings can achieve in creating a new kind of world. And we have to talk about the idea of revolution. We have to try to win an argument with people. You can't, even the best government, even the best Jeremy Corbyn, 600 Jeremy Corbyns in Parliament wouldn't mean we were in control of industry, wouldn't mean we were in control of the army, wouldn't mean we were in control of the courts or the police and the rest of it. We have to fundamentally change this system, and that means revolutionary change. And I want to just say a couple of other things. So there's a mate of mine that always says to me that I should be more ambitious. I work for a socialist worker and I work now for United South Racism, and I should be more ambitious as a person, and I should do better for myself. But I think I'm quite ambitious, because what I'm trying to lay out here as a strategy is the attempt to end racism, stop climate change within 12 years, and carry out international world socialist revolution. It's quite ambitious. Now, we don't think we're like the perfect elite in the SWP. We work with Labour Party comrades, people across the movement all the time. But we do think a revolutionary party is something different. It's a place where we bring together militants, where we organise together, so that every bloody strike, every demonstration, every movement we are part of, working alongside other people, but trying to inject a strategy and a way forward, so we don't have to keep coming back to the next crisis, to the next racist attack, to the next growth for the far right and the rest of it. And these questions are becoming sharper and sharper. We talk about the SWP as being a small, sharp axe. I'll give you a secret, we'd like it to be a bigger sharp axe than it is at the moment. And that means when you go out the door, if you're not a member, people are going to ask you to join. We ain't embarrassed about that, because at the minute, we need bigger revolutionary forces, not just in this country, but across the world. We need to spread the kind of spirit that we're seeing in the Sudan, right, on a global bloody level. Because this is the last thing to say, really. I said Rosa Luxemburg talked about socialism or barbarism. And she talked about that in the period of the First World War and the carnage that went on during that period. We are literally sitting on the brink of our planet being destroyed. And people like Trump and Johnson and Salvini and Le Pen and Orban and the rest of it will attempt to divide us in order to push that thing through. They don't care. As long as they're making profits, as long as they're in power, it doesn't matter how many refugees and migrants drown going across the Mediterranean. It doesn't matter how many people in this country, the fifth richest country on earth, live in poverty. It doesn't matter in the United States that 50% of Americans had to not carry through much needed operations or medical care last year, right, because they couldn't afford it in the richest country on the planet. We have to do something about this. We can't just sit back anymore. At the minute, we have to try to galvanise people in that situation. And that means beginning to put an argument about how we take this forward. Just finish with this, really. We want to create a world without Trump. We want to create a world without Johnson. We want to create a world without Salvini. We want to create a world that people like those martyrs are put exactly what we were saying ago. It doesn't mean you're worth more because you're from Europe. And by the way, it doesn't mean you're fucking worth more because you're deleted either, when it comes down to it. Working class people make the world like they is. Run the hospitals, run the schools, we're the people who keep things running. We have to remember that when you've got the power, like the comrade in Glasgow said, we need to get organised, we need to win socialism.